Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then hi, name is Erica, and today I want to talk a little bit about how a lot of times disabled people are discriminated against when they are looking for employment. Now, this is a topic that is pretty personal to me because I'm a disabled person who, not so long ago, I was looking for employment, but luckily I was able to eventually land a job, but the process was much harder and more defeating than it should have been. So that's something I would like to talk about. So first, I'm gonna get a bit into my experience and one particularly bad incident that unfortunately I had to deal with. But the reason I'm sharing this is because it's not something that I alone have dealt with. I know for a fact that other people have dealt with this, and that's why I would like to talk about it, but I'm not going to call out the specific person or the organization or the employer or any of the specifics of this, because I just don't feel like that's going to accomplish much, and also I'd rather not get sued here. So yeah, more so the latter part than the former part, because if you want to discriminate against people, I kind of feel like you should be hauled out. But at the same time, right now, knock on wood, I'm happy with what I have, so I'd rather not stir the pot too much. But anyway, this was actually a job related to disability. It was a position that had a lot to do with accessibility, but I don't want to get into specifics about what the job was, because I feel like that could possibly give away the information a little bit too much. But anyway, so it was directly related to accessibility and disability and social justice type work, which no matter what I do, that's kind of up my alley. Like, even though I want to venture into the entertainment industry, I still want to go about it in an inclusive way and with a social justice lens. But anyway, that rant over. But so I applied for this job and I got an interview. I think it was a phone interview. I don't think it was a Zoom interview. But so anyway, it was a phone interview, I believe. And this was a few months ago now, so I don't know. Like, it's not as fresh in my mind as it was when it first occurred. And I have applied to many jobs since then, so I don't know the exact details. But anyway, so I thought the interview went kind of well. Like, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I'm assuming it's a normal thing, but I don't know because I've never really asked anybody this question. But I kind of feel like it's hard to gauge how an interview went because it's not really a quantifiable thing. Like, I may think it went well, but the interviewer may be like, oh man, she sucks. There's no real way for me to know. I just kind of answer the questions and they throw at me and hope that that they like that. But anyway, so the interview went fairly well from my perspective. But then I received the dreaded email that says, "Thank you for applying, but unfortunately we decided to go in a different direction, or we decided to go with a different candidate." I don't know the exact words of the email, but it was one of those rejection emails that I'm sure if you've applied to any jobs, or even if you've applied to college, you probably have received one of those at some point in your life. But anyway, it wasn't just a regular rejection email. They couldn't have just stopped there. No, they had to take it one step further and really put it over the edge to make the top of the list of the worst rejections I've ever received in my life. So this person that interviewed me, I guess she knew I was disabled. I mean, a lot of the things on my resume have to do with disability. Like, I've worked for different disability organizations, and I started a club related to disability at my college, and I am pursuing a master's degree in disability studies. So I mean, even if I don't disclose my disability on the application, it's pretty clear that I have some sort of a connection to disability. And then of course, I'm not gonna not say that I stutter, because I do. And the thing is so obviously they knew that I stuttered, and I'll get into a bit of my thoughts on that later in this, but first I'm gonna tell you what the email said. And of course this is not word for word, but it said something like, "I think you should look into a program called Schedule A, since you're disabled, and they have a lot of jobs for disabled people." Now, if you do not know what Schedule A is, I didn't either until I received this email. So I still don't know exactly what it is, but I think from what I looked up, it's like governmental positions that they set aside for disabled people. But it's very confusing. It says it's non-competitive, but then also there's no guarantee you will get the job. So then in some way, I'm assuming it has to be competitive, because if there's no guarantee that if you ask for this position, you'll get it, then in some way it has to be competitive, like they have to pick between people. But anyway, it's set aside for disabled people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna bash people that opt for a program like that, because for many people that may be their best option, or it may be what they're comfortable with, or whatever the case may be. I'm not against that program, and that's not what this video is about. But what I am against is an employer saying that to somebody who applied for one of their jobs. Because while I know this person probably had good intentions and wanted to help me out, that kind of tells me that as an employer, they took my disability into consideration, and then maybe maybe I'm reading too much into this, but maybe they felt guilty or something, so they gave me that resource. But that's not, like, I'm not your charity case. I was applying for a job that I really wanted, and you didn't give it to me, so I don't need your help. Unless you're gonna give me a job, I don't really want your help. And I just want to say that in a lot of disability spaces, we often talk about when and how to disclose one's disability to an employer. But I think something we should discuss that I don't see discussed often enough is what to do if you don't have a choice in disclosing. And what I mean by that is the second I have any interview, even if it's over Zoom, even if it's over the phone, even if they never physically see me and I never have to walk into their office, and they'll know that I'm disabled because of the way I talk. Like someone who may be paraplegic and uses a wheelchair, for them that may be relevant if they have a phone or a Zoom interview. But of course, if it's an in-person interview, the person will see that you're disabled. But for someone like me, no matter what type of interview it is, they will know right away that I'm disabled because of the way I speak. And so I think that's something we need to talk about in the disabled community, because there is, and I know this is a very controversial, and I may get some heat for saying this from some disabled people, but I do think there is a certain degree of passing privilege when it comes to disabilities that are less visible than others. Now, I realize that disabilities that aren't readily visible come with their own struggles and issues, but I still think there's a degree of privilege there because it's something that is not always readily visible. So it is something where if they go into a job interview, they have to make the choice whether to disclose or not, whereas a lot of people do not have that choice because it is very apparent. It's in your face. It's a neon sign over your head that says disabled. And that's something I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. And that's why it's something I would like to talk about and let people know and try to destigmatize it and try to come up with solutions. And I do think the first step is talking about it and making people aware of it. And that's pretty much what I had to say for this. I do have some quick statistics on like disability and education and disability and employment. So 65% of disabled people finish high school, and I think that's across the entire like gamut of disability. And then 7% of people who've been disabled since birth finish college. And then I also want to see, I know I have statistics on it. Anyway, like, if my videos are more sporadic, that's why, because there's always an adjustment period when you start something new. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I can't do the thumbs up if I'm holding my mic because I don't have that kind of dexterity. But anyway, and if you have not already and you would like to see more of my content, please consider hitting that subscribe button down there. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.